Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Crimson and in this video we are going to be having a look through my entire Adepta Sororitas army for Warhammer 40K. Now you might notice that this video is structured a little bit differently than the Grey Knights army showcase, and that is just because I have decided to do it a little bit differently. Instead of going through each and every unit individually, what I have done is I have assembled every type of the same unit into squads, each one of them in rows of 5, and then either in the middle, at the front, or at the back of that unit will be the leader of said unit. So here is a brief overview of my army. Like I said, this is my Adepta Sororitas. So without further ado, let us dive right into it. So we are going to start off on the first row. So this is just a group of battle sisters. Now these ladies have all kinds of arms and armaments, from bolters to bolt pistols. Some of them have the Simulacrum banner, which is really cool. It is this banner that has all of these different skulls and stuff inside it. We have one sister there with a chainsword. And yeah, and then leading them we have a canoness. I forgot to mention, but I did my army in the color scheme of the Order of the Martyred Lady. I did not do this for any lore reason. I just did it because I think their color scheme is quite cool. So next up we have another group of battle sisters. So this one is much the same as the rest. So we have a group of combat battle sisters with all kinds of weapons, bolters, everything that a battle sister would like: melters, flamethrowers, the whole works. And again, some with a chainsword and a bolt pistol. And they are again led by a canoness, who we have here. So next up we have our Retributor squad. So the Retributors are battle sisters. However, they have these two-handed, extremely heavy weapons, from heavy bolters and heavy flamers. I'll try and just get a good look on this sister here so you guys can see kind of how big these weapons are. Very cool. They're definitely one of my favorite units. And leading them, I have Aveline. So she is actually my most recent pickup for my Adepta Sororitas army. I really like this model. Her character's cool, she's great on the battlefield, but in my opinion her character is just so cool. Next up we have a group of two different kinds of units. Actually, I have just put them together because of their size. They're both very large units. So these two units are the Paragon warsuits and the mortifiers. So Paragon warsuits are essentially mechs for Sisters of Battle, which are so cool. They are some of my favorite units of this entire faction. Let me just pick one up so you guys can see. So this is what they look like. So we have a sister in here. Again, this amazing power armor with this massive gun in one hand and a massive sword on the other hand. Really cool. They are great at taking out vehicles and stuff. They are the Sororitas's, or one of the Sororitas's best means at taking out enemy vehicles. And the other unit in here are the mortifiers. So the mortifiers are essentially punishment. These are, for want of a better term, imagine if someone made a mech that was actually an Iron Maiden. So someone is put into one of these things and they're never let out, and on either side of them they have two massive chainsaws. Let me see if I can pick one up here to show you guys. So this is one of them here. So you can see this poor person is strapped in here being fed all kinds of chemicals, while you can see the saw blades on either hand. So these guys are devastating in close range. And they are led by Val. So Val is one of my favorite leaders of the Sororitas. I think she's really cool. Her lore is really cool. She's fun to use in game. She's fun to use to paint. I actually have two of her, but I only use one per game, and I thought that I would just only show one. And yeah, so really cool. I absolutely love all of these guys. But yeah, let us continue and let us start from here. So starting from the left again on the second row, this is my Seraphim. So there's two types of flying units in the Adepta Sororitas, the Seraphim and the Seraphim. The Seraphim tend to be a little more aggressive and offense oriented, so they are really cool, and they have these really cool jetpacks with like these spikes, if this can actually focus, there we go, on the end. The Sororitas have these jetpacks that also look like wings. These Zephyrim, they kind of resemble wings, whereas the Seraphim do full-on look like they have wings. And they are led by the mortifiers. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly. If not, I do apologize. So she was actually the first named character for my Sororitas army that I bought. So I have a very soft spot in my heart for her. It was an absolute blast painting her, and I especially love her red cape. I should also mention, so all of the units in my army I painted myself. However, I did not paint any of the bases. The bases I bought either on eBay, on Amazon or on Etsy. So I just don't want to take credit for the bases because I did not do them. Next up, we have our vehicles. So we have two Sororitas Rhinos, really good. As you can see, there is a sister on the gun of each. These are decent vehicles, but they are much better at troop transport. Then we have our Castigator. So the Castigator is the Sororitas' main battle tank. This is the vehicle that you want to use to take out other vehicles. I had said previously that the Paragon warsuits were great at taking out vehicles, and the Sororitas' main way to take out vehicles. That is true for infantry. However, in terms of an actual vehicle, the Castigator all the way. And then over here we have the Exorcist. Now, the Exorcist is probably my favorite vehicle in this army. It may not be the best in terms of gameplay. However, I just think it is so cool. It's a tank with a church on top of it, and the sister on it even has this really cool hat, if I can get it to focus. Yeah, look at that. So that's awesome. I love that to bits. And then in front of them, we have a couple of figures. So we have another Canoness. I really like her. The little part on the back of her armor, from a certain angle, almost makes it look like she has a Pope hat, which would be quite fitting for the Sororitas. Next, we have a Palatine. There's no particular reason why this Palatine is here. I just couldn't really find another spot for her, so I thought I would throw her down here. And then for our last named unit here, we have Amelia Novana, if I can get her to focus. Really cool unit. I really like how powerful yet simple this unit is. From a glance, you would just think she's a normal sister, but no, she is incredibly powerful. And she has this really cool base, you know, it has these two braziers with fires going on either side of her. So yeah, quite cool. Also, just before we move on, one thing I forgot to mention, that at the very start here, in my first Battle Sister squad, I actually had a Hospitaller as well, so I forgot to mention her when I was doing it, so I'll just show her to you guys now. The Hospitaller is the Sororitas' medic, essentially. So you can see her here performing the last rites on a sister who is dying. So quite cool unit. They're not the most practical in game, however, I do really like them. Next up, we have the Arcoflagellants. So the Arcoflagellants are, they're not my favorite unit, to be honest. They are quite cool though. They are essentially cyborgs, and you can see that by all these blue wiring and stuff going in and out of their body. So they're quite cool. They are extremely good for close quarters combat. If you can get these guys in range of like, melee range of like a Space Marine, it is a very bad time for the Space Marine. Also here we have a couple of units. So we have a Priest, who I would use in game to lead the Arcoflagellants. We have another Priest. I just put both of them here because I didn't know where else to put him. And then speaking of not knowing where else to put someone, here is another Palatine Superior. Palatine Superior. Quite cool. I really like the bit on her back and her book that she's carrying. And then here we just have a standard Palatine. This one has almost like a candelabra on her back, which is quite cool. I just put both of those ladies there because I didn't know where else to put them. So I thought that there was as good a spot as any. So next up, let me just move these out. Sorry. So next up, we have another flying unit squad. So previously we have covered the Seraphim. These are the Seraphim. So these guys, while still able to do a lot of damage, these guys aren't as super aggressive as the Seraphim. I'm trying to see if I can find an example. Here's a good example for you guys, if I can manage to do it without dropping the unit. As you can see, her jetpack is in the shape of these angelic wings, so really cool. Yeah, and this is actually quite an old model that I have here, but nonetheless I still think she's great, and I thought of no one else better to lead the Seraphim, and also probably the Zephyrim if I was ever playing a real game, than St. Celestine. St. Celestine is probably my favorite character in all of the Sororitas lore. I just think she is so cool. So I painted her gold with her armor. It's hard to see right now, but her sword is like a very dark green. And I decided to do something a little bit different with her wings. I painted them this kind of orangey red, so they start out quite bright orange on the tips, and then as they get further in, they become more and more red, and then by the end, they are almost brown. I know a lot of people paint her wings white or blue or something. I just thought that, one, I wanted to do something a little different, and I tested out a bunch of colors, and I found out that this one looks the best in my opinion. So yeah, definitely my favorite character in this faction. So next up, we have another unit of Battle Sisters. I actually believe that this is a Dominion squad. They are still technically Battle Sisters, but they're just slightly different models. We also have an Imagifier here. I believe I'm saying that correctly. I really like this banner that she has, and yes, I did glue the idol on the statue on backwards, so yeah, that's just me being an idiot. There actually is another Imagifier that we saw in the very first Sisters of Battle squad, or the Battle Sister squad, and this is her here. She's holding it kind of more horizontally, but still quite cool. And leading this group of Battle Sisters is Asterid Thurga. So I really like this unit quite a bit. Let me just zoom in, focus on that, sorry. So I like how she's kind of draped around this massive banner that she has with her sword in the air. Her sidekick that goes with her, I did have, but I ended up losing her somewhere along the way. So she's here somewhere, but I have no idea where. So next up, we have a squad of two different types of units. The first unit type are the Noviciates, and the second units are the Celestian Sacrosancts. So the Noviciates are essentially Sisters of Battle in training. They are the new recruits in the order. So they do not have the full armor that a full-fledged sister would have. Instead, they have these kind of armored robes, and they have these really cool headpieces. It's almost like a type of headscarf that makes them look really good. They mostly wield melee weapons, but they are quite good. They're not my favorite unit, but they are very good, and I'm super glad to have them in my army. Then the other unit, the Celestian Sacrosancts, however, they are my favorite unit in my army. So the Celestian Sacrosancts are a group of sisters that do not use firearms. They use melee combat and have a shield. The Sacrosancts, they use all kinds of melee weapons. So they use swords, they use spears, they use halberds, and they use maces and all that stuff. I'll actually show you this lady here as an example. So you can see she has this really cool mace. I just painted it green because I thought it was cool. As well as her helmet underneath a hood and her shield. I decided to paint my shield gold, but it also does have the fleur-de-lis on it. I don't know why. There's something about someone pulling their hood over their helmet of power armor, which to me is just like an instant ticket to, oh my god, that's so cool. This unit also, she has a candelabra that is lit on her back. None of the other units do, so it just happened to be the one that I grabbed, and you can see a couple more purity seals and stuff as well. So leading this group, or at least leading the Noviciates, is the Novitiate Commander. So this is her here. So she, like I said, is the leader and commander of the Novitiates. She has a really cool headpiece, which kind of makes her look much more like a proper leader. And she is armed with a plasma pistol and a sword, so very, very cool. Also, this has nothing to do with the Noviciates nor the Celestian Sacrosancts, but here is another Hospitaller. Again, I just put her here because I didn't know where else to put her. So as you can see, she looks slightly different in terms of paint job to the one we saw earlier. We have the white doves, her scripture that she is reading, and the dying battle sister on the ground. You can also see that she has some kind of medicine in her little syringe. So maybe she's going to heal the sister, or if she's beyond saving, maybe or maybe she's reading her last rites before she dies. But yeah, quite cool. And I'm a sucker for units that have dioramas as bases, so that's why I think I love this unit so much. So over here we have another squad of Celestian Sacrosancts. Now this group is a lot smaller, and that's because they are a different model entirely from the other Sacrosancts, which is also why I have them in a different section. So whereas the other Sacrosancts that we saw had things like, halberds and maces and swords, I'll show you guys one here if it will focus. This is what the standard Sacrosant looks like. This type of Sacrosant is a little bit different. These ladies use spears and shields. They attack from behind their shields using their spears, which is very, very cool. So here is an example of one of them here. As you can see, she does look quite different to her other Celestian Sacrosant sisters. Her spear in one hand, her shield in the other, a very cool looking full face helmet. I really like these guys a lot, and I wish I had more of them. Again, they are not the best unit on the battlefield, best unit on the tabletop. Sorry, I am getting too immersed. But I love them all the same. And then in front of them, we have another Palatine Superior. Now again, she would not be leading the Sacrosancts in an actual game. I just wanted to put her in front of some squad because she is a powerful leader elite unit. And yeah, I have quite a few of these models. I think I have about 3 of them. But yeah. And then over here, we have another smaller squad of Zephyrim. So we saw our main Zephyrim force earlier on. However, these are just a couple extra ones that have very different models, so I thought they deserved their own place on, their own little squad. So, just to give you an example, here is what one of them looks like. She has a sword in one hand and a pistol, or a bolt pistol in the other, sorry. She has this really cool kind of like horn half thing going over her head, which is already helmeted, which is super cool. And she has a very similar decal on her shoulders, the like spiked little bits. A lot of these Zephyrim do have these, and just in terms of model alone, I much prefer these Zephyrim to the Seraphim, but they are both great and they both serve very different purposes in terms of gameplay. Now, in terms of who I have leading them, and leading these ladies is Judith Eureka. I hope I'm saying her last name properly. But she is in this kind of really cool chariot. It has this incredible eagle design on it with 2 heads. You can see Judith kind of in the driver's seat controlling it, with 2 flame braces on the back, both of them currently lit. Really, really cool unit. You can see the stairs where she climbs up and sits in here. And yeah, I love this unit to pieces. It was a blast to paint, and I think that's why I like it so much. It even has, you know, purity seals and bells and all that. And lastly, I thought I would save the best for last. We have the Triumph of St. Catherine. I'm not going to pick this one up because it would be too big to hold and actually give you guys a good view. So the Triumph of St. Catherine is essentially a funeral procession for St. Catherine. And what is really cool about it is the base, you have an attendant or a representative of one from each of the different Sisters of Battle orders, so like your Martyred Lady, the Ebony Chalice, and all that. So quite a really cool concept for a unit. This is definitely a must-have in any Sororitas army. Now, my one actually got a little bit broken. There used to be a bunch of little cherubs flying around at the top. However, they broke off somewhere and I was unable to find them. So this is just what we look like. So you can see St. Catherine's body lying down there with all of her followers on each side. What is cool is that you know, despite the sisters having all the different orders, all of them revere St. Catherine. And then in front of St. Catherine, we have a couple of units. So the first one is a Sister Dogmata. I really like the Sister Dogmatas. They are not the best unit for the Sororitas. They, in fact, might actually be one of the worst. However, I really like the model, so I got them. They are quite cool. She has this massive 2-handed kind of weapon that she can just hit people over the head with. I also really like her helmet. And we also have another Sister Dogmata here. This one I painted slightly differently, just to kind of tell them apart. So this one has a black helmet, white kind of sleeves under her robes, and a golden, or her staff has a golden finish compared to the kind of gray finish of her fellow sister. Then I also have 2 of one of the most powerful units in the Sororitas army, and that is the Dialogists. So the Dialogist is probably the most elite non-named character that you can have in a Sororitas army. They are high priestesses and they grant insane buffs in game. Again, I don't think many people use them, or if they do, they only just use one. But again, I really like this unit, so I just thought I would get some. And I just placed her here because I didn't think she would fit in with any of the other squads, but with the Triumph of St. Catherine, she fits in perfectly. And then our last unit in this video is yet again my second Dialogist. Again, painted slightly differently. Not too much, but just to be able to tell the differences between the two. I love what they have on their back. The fleur-de-lis, or the symbol of the Adepta Sororitas, with she's holding her scripture with probably a book that's probably some kind of holy book or scripture or something on her back. So yeah, that is my Adepta Sororitas army. So this is a much faster way of showing you guys my 40k army compared to how I did it with the Grey Knights. However, please let me know which version you prefer more. Do you prefer this kind of quicker version where you see each of all the different unit types kind of grouped into regiments with their respective leaders? Or do you prefer the Grey Knight style that I did, where I go through my storage box unit by unit? Let me know down in the comments. So that is going to be it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I just want to give a quick shout out to my 2 patrons. So thank you Slice of Life for Life, and thank you Mary the Otaku. Your support means the world to me, and to everyone else, your viewership means the world to me. Also, let me know, do you want me to continue doing Warhammer videos? I'm not going to be spending too much time. I'm on the actual armies. I would be doing 1 video per army, so that's about 6 videos since I have 6 armies. But I do also plan on covering the codex. So after I'm done recording this, I am going to start a video recording a look through and read through of the 10th edition Sororitas codex. So again, thank you for watching. If you are listening to this while laying down or trying to sleep or relax, this is the end of the video. So I would click off now. And for the rest of you, thanks again for watching. My name has been Crimson, and I will see you guys in the next one.